Hello. Welcome to the Board Games. Thank you for joining us here at the table with Marcum Family Gaming. As you can see, I've gone through our collection and wanted to focus on one of my favorite themes in board gaming, which would be deck building. I'm going to talk about each of these games a little bit in detail, and over the next few weeks, hopefully here on the channel, we'll be able to showcase some of these games so that you can try them out on your own table. Or maybe if you all can make some suggestions in the comments below of some deck builders that I might not have. Now, I know I don't have Dominion here on the table. I came into gaming after Dominion had already come out, and I've just found so many other amazing deck builders that I've never felt the need to go back and play Dominion. But if I'm really missing out on something, comment below and let me know. So here we go. Let's just grab some here. Vale of Merchants 2. Now, I believe there are 3 games in the series currently in the collection, and in this game it's your typical deck builder. Well, you'll have a row of cards that are available for purchase. You will play your cards out and gain them, but in this game what you're trying to do is build that straight of numbers so that you can win and become the most successful trader and leader of the town, and I can't remember the name of the town right now, but you're vying to become the best manager of the market. Shards of Infinity. This is probably one of my favorite deck builders. Reason is it's fast and it's really fun. You each start with the same core sets of cards as you do in most deck builders. There are 6 cards available in the middle. You purchase them and you're just literally blasting each other back and forth. You each start with 50 life. You've got 0 mastery points. You can spend some of your currency and gems to increase your mastery points. Other cards will also increase your mastery points. As your mastery points increase, your cards' abilities get more powerful, and you're just punching each other back and forth. Super fun game, small box game by Ultra Pro. I really like it, highly recommend it. By the way, Vale of Merchants by Snowdell Design. Next up here, we've got Fort. Don't you just love that artwork? I love the theme of the game, that you're these kids in the neighborhood building a fort and you're recruiting friends. The friends that you don't play with and use go down into your yard, and other players can recruit from your yard instead of just the playground, the area in the middle. They can also recruit from you. I really like that interaction. Another part of this game that I like in the deck building is that when one player plays a card, everybody has a chance to follow if they could play the same suit. So there's a lot going on in between turns and on your turn. And I really like how just because you got a card doesn't mean you're going to keep it, because if you don't play with your friends, they become someone else's friends. Fort by Leader Games. Excellent game. Mystic Vale by AEG. This game has several expansions. And personally, what I came to find out, and with my family, is the expansions were great, but it just got to be too much. So a couple years ago, I used to have the big conclave box with everything in it. I got rid of everything and I just got back down to the base game, because honestly, this is what we get to the table most often, and one that my wife enjoys and one that I like playing with the kids. I really like Mystic Vale in that it's more than just a deck builder. You've got your tiered rows of cards to purchase, but as you purchase the cards, as advertised here on the box, it's got this card crafting system where the cards are in a plastic sleeve and there's 3 rows on the card, and you place them in, and each time you play that card, it can become more powerful. So I like that little spin on the mechanic. That's a heavier box. I'm gonna leave that there for a minute. Clank in Space. This is the second iteration by Direwolf. They first made Clank, where it's your typical deck builder. I like what it's called, a deck building adventure. So in the first Clank, you were adventuring down into the dungeon looking for treasures to take out and try to get back out and be first and get back to the top of the castle before the dragon comes and eats you. And you don't want to make any noise to attract him. So the cards that you get, and also in Clank in Space, the theme is, I'll go and explain briefly, is Lord Erraticus is flying across space. You and your group of fellow thieves have decided to board his ship, steal some of his artifacts, and hack out and get out before he realizes you were there. What I like more about Clank in Space versus regular Clank is that you can't just push and go all the way down, grab something and run out. There are things that you have to acquire before you can move further on in the ship and down the conveyor belt. So I like how there's a little more, I believe, to it, meat on the bones, if you will, than in the regular Clank. I also know that there's the Clank Legacy, and I really, really want to play that. I've got my buddy over at Table Knots Max and Doolin. They've got a copy of it. I'm hoping to be able to join their crew as they go through that game. Aeons End. This is a really, really fun game. So it's Gravehold. I almost call it Gravelord. So you are in Gravehold and these monsters have come through the breach, and what you've come to find out is that we can repurpose and use that energy from the breach in our spell casting. And I like how there's these cards that turn and make your abilities more powerful. It's a cooperative deck builder where each of you are building your decks, but you're all going against that big bad. Really like Aeons End. There's a whole lot more to it as well. This is just the base game that I have. But it's definitely one worth playing, and I hope to get to the table and start playing with my kiddos. All right, here we've got Thunderstone Advance, Towers of Ruin by Mike Elliott, published by AEG Games. Thunderstone Advance is it almost goes back with Dominion. I believe it's one of those core ones that a lot of deck builders look back to see what they're going to try to do differently. It's again one where you've got your city is set up of cards you can purchase, and then you go to explore in the dungeon. As you go further in, the light decreases, so that kind of changes what you're doing with the cards. But it's an excellent game, a little older, still playable, highly recommended. This behemoth gets heavier and heavier. This is the DC Deck Building Multiverse box. Now I don't have everything, I'm getting close. Little by little I pick up a pack here and there. Just missing a few of the crossover packs and a few of the Infinity Crisis decks. But in this game, you play either DC heroes or villains. You've also got your confrontations where you play head-to-head against other players. But it's got your typical cards. You buy in a row, you generate attack, you generate purchase power. You use those cards to gain new cards, strengthen your deck, and see who can come out getting the most victory points by the end. Really, really love DC deck building. It's fast. My kids love it. They love the heroes and the villains and being able to play them and do that. Lord of the Rings by Cryptozoic, as well as DC deck building, is along that same vein. Probably should put it right side up there. This is the Fellowship of the Ring. There is one for every one of the books in the trilogy and also in the Hobbit movies as well. I just stuck with the Fellowship of the Ring. I like that initial part of the story where the Fellowship gathers. You could be Gandalf, you could be Frodo, Samwise, Aragorn, Legolas, Gimli, any of those guys. You each start with an individual artifact, which makes your deck a little unique, but not so unique. And then you can lean in any way you go. You can recruit allies, you can get more artifacts, you can get a lot of enemies in your deck. Those enemy cards can attack your other players and make them lose cards or do things like that. Lord of the Rings is just fun because our family loves the theme, and it's one that we get to the table fairly often. Here we go with Ascension by Stoneblade. Again, this game, wow, this is like the 10th iteration. There's been at least 2 or 3 after this. I really like War of Shadows. So this is that same typical deck building where you've got the row of cards, but in War of Shadows, one thing that happens as they come out, you've got day cards and night cards. And so you've got your 6 cards. If there's ever more day cards, you'll have cards that have a stronger ability because it's daytime based upon what's in the row of availability. If it's nighttime, then it shifts, and then some cards are more powerful because it's nighttime. And I just like how that randomly is coming out and the game shifts accordingly to that. You're fighting to defeat the most monsters and come out with the most victory points and see who can come out victorious out of the War of Shadows. This game, I've heard, is recently they've announced is going to be getting a reprint. Tyrants of the Underdark is amazing. There's a few of these games over here as we get towards the end. It's kind of a deck building plus. So you've got your deck building element where you're going to play cards, buy new ones, and put them into your deck and get stronger there. But you're also playing as the Drow in the Undercity, in the Underdark, and you are totally, the theme oozes out of this game. Treachery, backstabbing, espionage, the way you move around for area control, how you can send spies over there to get presents and be able to do stuff without even having your workers there. So much is going on, and if you've ever read any of the Legend of Drizzt or any of his series, it shines through in this game by Gale Force 9. Dungeons and Dragons, Tyrants of the Underdark. Highly, highly recommend this game. When the reprint hits, get a copy of it. You will not be disappointed. Personally, one of my favorite themes of all time. I grew up watching Buffy the Vampire Slayer, loved the series, watched Angel every episode. This game is just, I love going back to Sunnydale, playing as Buffy or Angel or any of the other characters that started in that series, and going against the big bads, ultimately preparing to go against the other creatures of darkness and save Sunnydale and save the world. Legendary Buffy the Vampire Slayer, love it. Currently in the process of reacquiring Marvel Legendary. That was one of our kids' favorite games, and I hope to get it back soon so we can get back to playing that game. Next up, got Hero Realms. This is the big box, the Adventurer Storage box that came out not too long ago. There is a lot to do in Hero Realms. Hero Realms, you can play head-to-head, kind of like back in Shards of Infinity, like I was talking about, where you're spending your money, powering up your deck, building up to defeat your opponent. They've recently started coming out with campaign modes, where you can play that rogue, wizard. I mean, you're always playing the rogue and the wizard and the cleric and the other classic D&D style characters, a fighter. But in the campaign mode, your deck builds and you power up and you build and you follow along in the story. And it just plays really, really well. Love Hero Realms by White Wizard Games. It's one you should get, at least the little base box. I think it's only like $15. It's got a lot of play, and I just really like it and how it comes through in that game. This is one that I'm sad to say we've played but never finished. Harry Potter Hogwarts Battle. It's a cooperative deck building game where you're playing Harry, Hermione, Ron, or Neville, and you go through the movies. I'm trying to think. Maybe we got to year 4? Regardless, my 9-year-old has just started reading the Harry Potter books, so I think if I invited him to come play this at the table, we'd be able to get through it. Harry Potter, fun game. This is by USopoly. And a lot of times when you see games just get a theme slapped on them, they're not good. That's not the case here. USopoly did a really good job with this game, and I would recommend you give it a go. Dune Imperium. I can't really say a lot about this game. As you can see, it's still in plastic. It's the one deck builder out of all of these games that I have not played. I love Dune. I grew up playing Dune on the computer, the old PC game. You all would laugh if you saw the graphics. I know they've made some more. I know the movie's coming out again soon. The remake, the Becoming the Ruler of Arrakis, Direwolf games. I've heard nothing but good things about this. I've heard that it plays amazingly, and even the solo play is something to give a go. So I'm excited to get this one open and get it to the table. I'm going to save my favorite game of all time for last. It's just amazing. But another one by CGE Games here, The Lost Ruins of Arnak. Only played it once. Really, really loved it. It's got a unique mix, like I talked about earlier with Tyrants of the Underdark. Lost Ruins of Arnak has it's a deck builder plus. It's a deck builder plus worker placement. You get a couple of actions with your workers. You've got a technology tree that you're working up on the side. You're playing your cards so you can explore deeper into the jungle. The theme comes out, kind of gives you that Indiana Jones-esque adventure. Really liked my playthrough of it. I saw recently they've created some solo play. Really, really, really want to get that to the table and try it out. Last, but definitely not least, Mage Knight. This thing is huge. This is old school. I don't have the Ultimate Edition. I've been into Mage Knight, the board game, since it came out, and I tracked down all the different characters. I think I got one from Australia, one from Canada, because they were out of print and in the US for a long time. After I go through all that trouble, then they do a reprint. Anyway, but I've got the broken token in here. Really, really love this game. Mage Knight by WizKids is one of my favorite games, if not the favorite game of all time for me. I definitely plan on getting this to the table. Deck building is a component of this game, and a lot of people say this is the best deck builder of all time. I just think it's got so much more going on that the deck building isn't the full part of the story. You've got to, not only are you building that deck with artifacts, spells, your movement, and your other base cards that you start with, you've got to figure out how to play them correctly. You can play them sideways for basic movement or attack. You're exploring and rebuilding tiles, finding monasteries, ruins, and deciding where you want to burn that monastery down to get an artifact, but you become a little less liked by the people. Just so much good is going on in this game. I love it, and I will be getting it to the table soon. So that's it. Wanted to give you all a little taste of some of the games we have here at Marcum Family Gaming. Deck building is definitely one of our favorite themes. What did I miss? What do you think about what I have here at the table? Comment below and let me know what you think. I'd appreciate a like, subscribe, ring that bell to get notifications. Let other people know about our channel. We're young and we're growing, but we're excited to be here. And I would particularly like to have your comments below on deck builders and what I should be looking for or what I should be trying to do as I play what I've got here before you. Again, thanks for joining us at the table. Have a good one. Till next time.